The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited.
Living in a strange land where we don't belong, subjugated to sin, they required a song. They came to our shores, took us away. Once kings and queens, relegated to slaves. Georgia, over the water, Jerusalem calling, she's our mother. I hear her calling for me, she's calling, exiled in Babylon, all alone. It's coming to me, I'm remembering. I'm praying to God, come set us free. Set us free. The nation's programmed our brains to look the other way. We were lost and ashamed, living confused with no hope. Walk around with my head hanging low. Spirit was crying for change. Then you revealed your name. From the sides of the north, a strong wind carried me. Seen a vision of this beautiful land. In the midst of the wind, I heard the angels sing. Welcome back home. Welcome Zion. Welcome home, Zion. By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down. Yea, we wept when we remembered Zion. We hanged our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof. For they that carried us away captive required of us a song. And they that wasted us required mirth, saying, sing us one of the songs of Zion. Take me
Shalom, family, and welcome to our Friday evening Patreon check-in. This is Elder Lawyer filling in for Elder Ricard Shiar, who is currently with his family. The elder wanted me to let you all know that he is currently in good spirits and that he will be back with us, if it be the Most High's will, this coming Sunday. And he would like to thank you all for your prayers that you offer to the Most High for both him and his family. And again, he will be back with us, if it be the Most High's will, this Sunday, possibly as early as tomorrow. So we want to thank you all for your continual support and participation. Again, this is our Friday evening Patreon check-in. And we have a few things we would like to cover this evening. But before we do so, let's do a quick check-in with the family to see who we have with us, what areas you're representing, your city, your state, the congregation or church that you represent, that you want to show some love to. You can go ahead and put that in the chat, and then afterwards, we'll make some announcements in regards to our current Hebrew and Bible Academy. And then afterwards, we'll get into our presentation for this evening. Again, we have quite a few things in tow that we would like to share. But before we do so, let's show some love to the family. Starting off, we got Shadiah War, representing Cincinnati, Ohio. Shalom to you and the family in Cincinnati. We got Hebrew Harris, also representing Cincinnati, Ohio. Shalom to you, brother, and Officer Hebrew Harris. Okay, I believe Shadiah War, Brother Shadiah War is, I believe he's also an officer. I could be mistaken, but again, shalom to you fellas. Representing the Cincinnati area under Deacon Yakad, and yes, shalom and much love to Deacon Yakad and the family in Cincinnati. We also got a mock from Cincinnati. Man, Cincinnati is thick in here today. All right, we got Maria GOCC representing Hampton, Georgia from GOCC ATL. Shalom to you, Sister Maria, and the family out there in the ATL, the GOCC congregation there under Bishop Baruch, Deacon Abdiel. Shalom to you, family, brothers and sisters who are there. We got Chayal Yasha'Allah representing, what's that? You got New Jersey and North Carolina. Okay, which one is it? All right, we got JC. While you figure that out, we got JC from GOCC Bahamas. Shalom to you and the family out there in the Bahamas. We got Patricia Manigun from Birmingham, Alabama. Shalom to you and the family out there in Birmingham. We got Yashara from Columbus, Ohio. All right, again, Ohio coming through heavy this evening. We got Vivian Johnson also from Alabama. So we got Alabama coming through pretty strong this evening. Shalom to the family in Alabama. We got Daughter of Zion in Wilmington, North Carolina. Shalom to you and the family out there in North Carolina and the North Carolina body. Who else we got here? We got T. Simmons from Columbus, Ohio. We got Judah Roust from Petersburg, Virginia. Shalom to you and the family out there in Petersburg. All right. Shalom to Terrence Brown. Shabbat shalom, I should say. The sun has gone down, so we are officially in the Sabbath. So let me say Shabbat shalom to you all. Who else we have here? I thought I saw Chicago, but the chat jumped real quick. So let me get back there to see who we got representing Chi-Town. Let's see who we have here representing Chi-Town. All right, man, it jumped so quick and so far. I can't even get back to who that was. Okay, all right. I'm seeing a few Philadelphias there, a few people representing the hometown. Shalom to you, Nakwaya, Nabala, representing GOCC Philadelphia. Shalom to you and the family in the Philadelphia body. Who else we have here? We got Mrs. Matara, representing Minnesota. We got Paula Rowley from Sarasota, Florida. Teresa Jennings from Bangor, Maine. Who else we got there? We got Michael Summers from Buffalo, New York. Louisiana, by way, or I should say Trey Will, I am by way of Louisiana. Who else we got here? We got Tracy Chandler, another family member from Ohio. All right, who else we have in here? We got a few more to get. We got Talawa Rapael, also representing the Philadelphia Badia. Shalom to you. All right, man, we got a lot of people in here today. We got K. Smith representing GOCC London, England. Man, for anyone who I missed, I got to get into it. But for anyone that I may have missed, I want to say shalom to you all and thank you again for your love, for your support. Thank you all for being with us this evening. Again, I'm filling in for Elder Ricard Shiar, who will, if it be the Most High's will, be with us as early as tomorrow. But if not, he will be with us this coming Sunday. Before we get into our discussion for this evening, which is titled, "The Enemy Knows Your Weaknesses, Do You?" Before we get into that, I first and foremost want to thank the Most High for allowing us to come together for another check-in for the Friday Patreon. We also have a quick announcement in regards to our Hebrew and Bible Academy. For those who are still interested, let's get into that real quick. The theme for this academy is Beyond 2025, Hope After Armageddon. We are officially entering this Sunday, week number 3. So to kind of give you some understanding to the theme for this academy, we're dealing with the understanding of Armageddon and the purpose of Armageddon. Why understanding Armageddon's purpose is key to hope, dispelling common misconceptions about total annihilation, Revelation 21 and 22, which is God's explicit promise, a new hope, a new heaven, and a new earth. The absence of tears, pain, and death, literal promise, what daily life could look like in a perfectly restored world, the promise of harmony, abundance, and direct contact with God, which is what we all desire, what we are laboring for, what we all pray for, and what we all hope to receive at the end of this. So we're all looking for life on a renewed earth, and that's what this whole academy is about. This coming Sunday, we're going to be going into a lesson titled The Promised Seed. We can't talk about the kingdom without first dealing with the seed or the nation to whom the kingdom was promised. And we understand that it is through that seed that we received the Messiah, and that the Messiah would fulfill all the prophecies and all the promises that would result and that would be fulfilled ultimately with his kingdom on earth. So that's going to be a very important lesson as we deal in this academy. Again, talking about life beyond 2025, life in the kingdom of Christ, his 1,000-year reign, and eventually the kingdom of heaven, which we all know, eyes have not seen, neither have ears heard, the things which the Most High have prepared. So if you're interested in this up and coming academy, please go to historytimes.org, where we have all the information that is necessary and needed in order to enroll in the academy. Okay. So let's get into it. Let's get into today's topic. Again, the topic of discussion is the enemy knows your weaknesses. Do you? What's the angle we're going to take with this particular discussion? Well, we're going to use a few examples, both relevant to today, but also we're going to use some examples from history. Although recent history, it's history nonetheless. And we're going to show that the enemy really hasn't changed his method of attacking and eventually causing the downfall. And when I say causing the downfall, meaning the enemy has methods, he has tactics, he has what the Bible calls wiles. Okay, by wiles, meaning the methodology that one would use in order to capture, to divide and conquer, and eventually destroy either a movement or an individual. And usually when we see the takedown happening before us, usually the first, the first thought process or the mode of operation is usually to look at things from the conspiratorial aspect. And when I say the conspiratorial aspect, I'm going to give you some examples, but basically what I mean is that when we see the takedown or we see the fall of a movement or we see the fall of an individual, usually we examine things from the perspective of, well, this is another classic case of the enemy at work. An enemy setting somebody up, an enemy charging a person of crimes they may have not committed. Okay, someone being falsely accused, or we go into basically how the person was set up, which led them to be in the predicament that they're currently in. Now, even though we do believe in conspiracy, and again, conspiracy, it's become a negative term, but we understand that a conspiracy is simply an attempt by two or more people, to commit an act, usually a criminal act, to cause the downfall of another person. Okay? That's all a conspiracy is. But we understand that in this time, conspiracy is automatically associated with conspiracy theory, which is somebody theorizing that there may have been a conspiracy at hand, which may have led to a particular event taking place. Right? But getting back to the point, we believe that conspiracies do take place to cause the downfall of both movements, organizations, as well as prominent individuals. We can go into the Bible and see plenty of examples of conspiracies. We've seen the conspiracy of Joseph's brethren conspiring against him to have him sold eventually to the Egyptians. Okay? Or the conspiracy led to him being sold to the Egyptians. That was a conspiracy. We've seen a conspiracy against Daniel, which led to him being thrown into the lion's den. We've seen a conspiracy against the three holy children, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, which eventually led them to being cast into the fiery furnace. We've seen the conspiracy of Haman against the Israelites in the Persian Empire. And ultimately, we all seen the conspiracy of the chief priest, the scribes, and the Pharisees, along with Judas Iscariot, which led to Christ being crucified. So we believe in conspiracies. The Bible teaches us and gives us plenty of examples of conspiracies. In fact, when you want to talk about conspiracies against either an organized body of people, an organization, or a nation of people, the book of Psalms, the 83rd chapter, teaches us what? That the nations conspired against the people of God. The Gentiles conspired against the children of Israel. The goal of the conspiracy was to wipe out the name of Israel from existence. So again, we see examples all throughout the Bible of conspiracy, but ultimately, and I'm getting back to the point of the examples we're going to show. Ultimately, After looking at things from the conspiratorial aspect, after viewing how the enemy may have had his hand in the downfall of an organization or the downfall of an individual, eventually we have to look at it from the other side. The other side being, what did the individual do that led to the enemy gaining access? What did the individual do? What sins or what iniquities, what improprieties was an individual dealing with that allowed the enemy to now activate a conspiracy? How did the enemy know what to use and how to use it to cause the downfall of this individual? Because the same way we can go into the Bible and we can see the conspiracies, we can see the examples of people coming together and conspiring to cause one's downfall. The Bible also tells us in Romans 15:3. In fact, let me read it real quick. Romans 15:3. The book of Romans, chapter 15, verse number 3. I want to read this real quick. All right, that's 1 Corinthians. Let's get Romans 15:3. Let's make it Romans 15:4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime, meaning the things which were written from the past and documented in the past. Okay, just a moment. All right. So the things which were written aforetime, meaning the things which were documented in the past, were written for our learning. So the point I'm making is that the other side of this is that when we see certain things take place where a person falls before the world, or their sins and their iniquities, their transgressions, their improprieties, their shortcomings are documented for the whole world to see. After we look at how the enemy played a part in it and how the enemy came in with a conspiracy to eventually take them down for whatever reason, ultimately, we have to look at and examine what can we personally learn from the situation. There's only so much we can learn from the conspiratorial aspect of it. Okay? And there's a lot to be learned from that side of viewing things. And again, I'm going to give you all some examples. And we're going to show the examples on the other side. But there's only so much that you can learn. There's much to be learned from that side of things, but it's only so much that can be learned from that aspect. Like if you have an external force conspiring against you, right? There's only so much you can do to prevent, okay? And really, outside of praying to the Most High and seeking the Most High's protection, there's not much you can do when an outside force is conspiring and working against you to take you down. Right? But what you can learn, again, is what improprieties, what sins, what transgressions was the person engaging in that allowed the enemy to now find a door of entry into that person's circumference, into that person's life, so that now they can set a stronghold and eventually use and entrap this person. That's where we learn a lot of the necessary, much needed lessons that we can take away from it and say, well, these are the things that we can actually have control over. These are the things that we can actually prevent. These are mistakes that we can avoid so that we don't fall to the same exact destruction, perdition. Okay? What are some examples we're going to use? And after this, we're going to transition to the other side. What are some of the examples we're going to use? We've all seen this play out. We've all seen the outcome of this debacle, okay, that was set out for the world to see. Right? Again, this goes back, this lends to what I was stating earlier. A person's sins, a person's improprieties, their shortcomings, and whatever else they're dealing with being laid out for the world to see and for the world to judge. And again, seeing how this all went down, we can get into the conspiratorial aspect of it and look at what elements were at play which led to this, okay, coming out, or the outcome that, eventually this brother received, which was a lengthy prison sentence. Okay, we can look at where the justice system was skewed. We can look at the railroading in the sense of a documentary coming out, and when you really get into the documentary and not deal with the emotion of it and the crying and all those things and the violins playing in the background, and you examine what people are saying, what you find is that you had people who at some point were complicit in the actions and for whatever reason is now using the documentary to excuse themselves and to provide excuses as to why at some point they were complicit, but now looking back on it, well, really we weren't complicit. It was really abuse or anything of that nature, right? Or things of that nature. So we can get into all of that. But ultimately, if we just deal with it from that perspective, there's only so much that we can learn. What about some of the things that were in this man's control? What about the environment that this man was operating in, that he had full control over? What about himself? There's certain things that he engaged in that at the end of the day he had full control over. And if he exercised self-control within himself, if he operated with an environment that was conducive for self-control, we can all agree that he probably wouldn't be in the situation he's in. We can most likely agree, 99.9% agree, that the enemy would not have gained a stronghold or a footing into his life and his home if he wasn't engaging in certain things which we know one ought not to do. We can get into, well, other people do it, and this is normal in that environment. This is normal in the industry, so on and so forth. And it is, but it's affecting him and it's not affecting the others, the hundreds or even thousands of others that are engaging in it. He's the one that's dealing with the brunt of the activity, or the brunt of the punishment for the activity. Okay? So ultimately, you have to look at, well, what's the activity that he engaged in that we can learn from? Right? What can we learn from this so that we don't make the same mistake, so that we don't fall to the same thing? And that's the position we're going to take in today's discussion. The enemy knew his weaknesses. The question is, did he? Same thing with this individual. Again, we can get into the ins and outs of what he was charged with and how it's nonsensical, how one man could be, they can even try to attempt to charge him as a criminal enterprise, one individual. We can get into the whole shebang of it. We can get into how this didn't happen and they didn't come after him until he decided to go to war with a multi-billion-dollar liquor company. We can get into all of that. And you know what? If you did, you'll be 100% correct in your assessment. But again, what environment was he engaging in that allowed the enemy to use it, eventually to use it against him? Not to say that he's the only one engaged in that environment. Not to say he's not the only one that, or he's the only one that engages in the activity. Again, it's a whole industry of people, thousands, that engage in these activities that came out in his case. But again, he's dealing with the brunt of what comes with when the enemy decides to open the door, to open the files, and show your transgressions before the world, and eventually punish you for those activities as a crime. He's having to deal with this. Okay? So again, what can we learn from his situation? The enemy knew and eventually exposed his weaknesses. The question is, did he know what his weaknesses were? Now, moving on. We see in this cat in the tabloids a lot for quite a few different things. Okay, the latest being an incident in which he is charged with, let's say, what term I want to use here. He's charged with doing bodily harm to someone who he employed. Right now, it's just charges. It's not anything concrete. For the most part, right now, it's rumor. But again, this is in conjunction with a lot of other things that he is engaged with at this time. Okay, a lot of other improprieties that's coming out on this individual, this brother. What can we learn from him? What can we learn from his situation? Okay, do we look at it from the standpoint of they're trying to set him up, they're trying to take another one down? And if you came with that perspective, I would give it a listen. I would give it a hear if you presented a good enough claim. But again, ultimately, what can you personally take from this situation that you can something concrete that you can take away and say that, well, regardless or not if it's a conspiracy to take this man down, what can I learn from the situation so that I don't end up in the same predicament? And then we're going to ask ourselves, are these accusations and these activities, are they exclusive to people in the entertainment industry? Is this the first time that we've had people who are considered prominent either in our communities for whatever reason? Is this the first time that they have been accused of certain activities that are deemed reprehensible? Is this the first time? And again, is it only exclusive to the entertainment world? What about the conscience world? The revolutionary world? The pro-black world? We'll put it that way, the conscious world. You're going to find out that whole prominent organizations have been tarnished. I'm going to show you the screenshots here, but we're going to get into it on the other side. Whole organizations have been tarnished. Reputations damaged and destroyed, based on some of the same stuff that you're hearing from these individuals. We're going to have a look at the Black Panthers. Okay, we're going to have a look at the Black Panthers. One moment. Let me get this to where there's an actual visual here. Okay. We're going to have a look at the Black Panthers. We're also going to have a look at the Nation of Islam. Two, at one point, very prominent organizations, predominantly in the black community. What can we learn from all of either these individuals or these organizations? Lessons, real life lessons that we can take away from and say that these are things that if I abstain from, I give myself a better chance of not being tarnished, destroyed, or railroaded by the enemy. Okay? So, now when I mean, someone said the other side, yes. What I mean by the other side, I mean Patreon. Okay? I just simply mean Patreon, the other side. We're going to transition to Patreon and have the discussion there. Okay? So, yes, we're going to have the discussion. What can we learn from all of these situations? Right? And ultimately, we're going to use the Bible to show that there's nothing new under the sun. But also, the beautiful thing about Scripture is that it provides solutions. It not only gives us the examples, again, as we read Romans 15:4, the things which were written aforetime were written for our learning. These things are documented historically for a purpose. But the beautiful thing about the Bible is the fact that it not only documents the instances, and not only documents the events, but it also gives us solutions on the things that are documented. So we're going to deal with both when we get to Patreon. So with that, I want to say bless you all and shalom. For those who are interested in Patreon, you can go to Patreon, A Gathering 144 at Patreon. And there we have a $5 subscription that you can be a part of if you would like. It's only $5 a month. And through that, you'll be able to follow some of the extra content that we produce and present on the side of Patreon, most of which are discussions that we cannot have on YouTube for many reasons. So we're going to go there so that we can have this unadulterated, uninhibited conversation that normally on YouTube would probably present some problems, either with the content that's being showed or some of the discussions that we're having. Okay, so let's do that very quickly. Again, I want to say bless you all and shalom. And if it be the Most High's will, we will see you not only tomorrow for the Shabbat, but we'll be back with you this coming Sunday in our Hebrew and Bible Academy. Again, if you're interested, we're only in week number 3. We're going to be going into the promised seed in the main lesson. And in the Hebrew lesson, we're going to be dealing with conversational or biblical Hebrew nouns. With that, I want to say bless you all, shalom, and may you all enjoy the rest of your evening. Shabbat shalom.
The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that he used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy. You're invited.